All right, welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here, and I'm bringing you my thoughts, my impressions for this India tour of South Africa, which proved to be extremely successful for South Africa. I'm going to talk about that. And extremely unsuccessful for India. I'm going to talk about that. Starting off, if you're new to the channel, my name's Nick. I'm American. I've been learning about cricket the last few years. And so my thoughts in this video, like most of my thoughts in most videos, are probably not going to be what you're expecting as far as expert cricket analysis and this and that and lines and lengths. And it's not going to be about that. It's going to be about my perspective, my impressions after watching, reading, looking at stats, different things about this tour. So if you're expecting the expert analysis, sorry, you're not going to get that here. But if you want to see a different perspective, go ahead and stick around. Either way, if you like if you like what you hear, there we go. Hit that like button. And if you really like what you hear, for whatever reason, if you're as crazy as I am, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. So talking about South Africa. What a tour this was for South Africa. They're playing against a test team and an ODI team in India that is highly ranked on both sides. And even if they're maybe not as highly ranked as you would expect here and there, they're coming in as a very strong, very competitive team. Many consider probably the top three in all formats, myself included. I do. I did. Got to get some things figured out. And South Africa is coming off of different situations, right? Different situations, kind of like a rebuild, if you will, the last couple of years. And then you got de Kock, who misses the second test. I believe it was the second test. Retires from test. And you have different situations going on. You have I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, Boucher, the coach going through what he's going through right now with the allegations. And I think he's going to trial or some kind of nonsense or an investigation is going on. You have a captain on the ODI team in Bavuma. I just read an article on him. Very, very great article on Crick Buzz about the challenges that he's faced as being a captain on the South African team and how he's risen to the challenge. You have a South Africa team that had so much to prove, very little believed in, except unless you're a South African fan and you have that faith and you've been seeing things roll up. Not a lot of people were picking them to win, and not only did they win, but they won in impressive fashion. A lot of people are going to say, and I get it, it's South Africa, it's tough to play there, it's tough with the pitches, the bowlers know the conditions, and all that's true. But with everything considered, that Bavuma, that Elgar, that these two captains, and that these players had on both formats, it's nothing short of impressive, nothing short of inspirational, and it's something as a sports fan, which is what I am first, it's something that I relish in. It's something that I'm excited to read about, excited to watch, excited to see unfold, because they took down almost David and Goliath type situation, and they were able to show in the last 5 matches of this 6-match tour, Test and ODI combined, they were able to show that they were the better team, that they were the team mostly that outlasted. They were the more resilient team, no matter what format it is, and that's something, if I'm a South African fan, I am looking at this tour and I'm thinking, wow, we can really build off of this. Again, you had two captains that not only made the right decisions, it seemed way more oftentimes than not, they also led with their bat. They led with their being field generals, if you will, and they led by making the right decisions and by showing their experience, to tell you the truth, whatever that experience is in. And so, extremely impressed. Extremely impressive what South Africa was able to do. And, I mean, you think about the last 2 matches, the last 2 ODI matches, they had one of the biggest run chases they've ever had against India. And then they were able to, the things flopped. I think it was almost the same exact score, the 287. That's a high score that they put up when they batted first. And then they had to outlast India. And how did they do that? By having not just one, not just 2 bowlers in there, not just a star pacer in Ngidi, which has been amazing this tour, not just a star spinner, from what I've noticed in Felakwayo, but having a bunch of different bowlers that can come in there and get the job done. Remember, you got no Norkie, you got no Rabada in the ODI. And I don't know if they're typically not in the ODI side, but you don't have those 2 pacers. But you had what you needed. Pretorius, which I have not seen in this tour, I could be wrong. He gets himself 2 wickets in the last match. But they were able to outlast. At one point, India needed like 8 runs on 14 balls. Odds are you're going to be able to get it even if you do have your tail end going in there, right? It's going to be more difficult, but Shahar's going in there with a half century. He's feeling pretty good about himself. You had a tail end in India that has not performed for years now, for the most part, and you get a half century from Deepak Chahar, who's not seen the international side, I think, since Sri Lanka, for crying out loud. He comes in, and he gives you a half century 54. Bumrah, who is never going to light up the stat sheet, he's always good for at least double digits, which is what he gave you there. But you needed to survive. You wanted to put a stamp on the end of this tour, and that's what South Africa did. And that is what I'm most impressed about. They were able to win that third match by 4 runs. 4 runs. They won this match by 4 runs when it was 8 off 14 at one point. They kept them to 4 off 14. And they shut the door down like they did every single match. They did just enough to win each match. Some, they did more than they needed to, but for the most part, just enough to win. And for me, I'm a big NFL fan. There was this huge NFL weekend. Great games, close games, came down the wire. It's who wanted it more. It's as simple as that. And South Africa wanted it more time and time again. Very impressed. If you're a South Africa fan, get in the comment section. Let me know what you're most impressed with. Let me know what you think about it. Even if you already mentioned in a previous video, mention it again, but just get in there and comment it up, so to speak. Now let's talk about the India side. It's not a good situation. If you're an Indian fan, or if you're watching this with, actual, not the rose-colored glasses, but actual lens. If you're watching this for what it is, let's start with the excuses. Let's get those out of the way, okay? New captain in KL Rahul for the ODI series. All right, you don't have Jadeja. You don't have Hardik Pandya. You don't have Rohit Sharma, for crying out loud. You don't have Shami for whatever reason. I don't even think he was in the test. I could be wrong about that. But you don't have Axar Patel. You don't have a lot of these guys. And when the spinners were doing really well, where even the captains were saying, hey, this pitch on the last ODI match, almost like the last 2, almost the whole series, these pitches were almost like subcontinent, for crying out loud. It's interesting what happened there with the spinners not being able to get what they needed to get. All those excuses, you can just throw them out the window. Because when it comes down to it, it's a team that wins. I get it. Captain has a lot of responsibility, and you change the reins to KL Rahul, You decided, and we know it was Kohli's announcement, but let's be real, what really happened, right? A push, a boost, if you will. They decided to make that change before the ODI series. Not too sure. I think coaching 101, team stability 101, don't make that change until we go to our next spot, at least. Until we have a few days to digest it. Because as human as these men are, they've been following a captain in every single format. They've been following that captain for 7 years, for crying out loud. And now all of a sudden, what? Like, you're going to shake that world. And when you read the comments from those who are on the team, nothing but praise. And I get, in a social media world, it's what you got to do. But a lot of those seem sincere, if not all of that. You have all those excuses, but what happens? Your team India, you have depth. I'm the one that's mentioned. A lot of people have mentioned the depth. We saw it in Australia. Sorry, Australia fans. Not too long ago. That depth was not here. They were not able to put one complete game after the first test. And they could have won, in my opinion, they could have won 3 of the last 5 matches they lost. I could easily see them winning 3. I could be wrong, maybe 4, but I can think of 3 at least. The last 2 ODI matches and the second test match. They could have, they did not. And when we're talking about 2 different captains, right? 2 different captains. Kohli was the captain of the test matches, and then he stepped away, and then KL Rahul here. Let's talk about KL Rahul for a second. I am not in the camp to say sack him, get rid of him, don't ever show his face again as a captain. I'm not in that camp. Because this guy, he was given what he was given. All right? I know he has, 30 some odd matches, 40 some odd matches in ODI. I get it. That's a good amount. That's no small amount. 41 matches and 43 in test. I get that. He's got several international matches under his belt. but never as a captain. And he set records, the kind of records you don't want to set, as far as being whitewashed, as far as going down 0-2, as far as not being able to hold that run lead. All these different records for South Africa and India, he unfortunately holds those records. And at the end of the day, one of the last things he said at the end of this heartbreaking whitewash was, being here in South Africa was fantastic. We loved it. It was great. The hospitality was He's too nice of a guy, right? He's too nice of a guy. And I read somewhere else that he's got to have that killer instinct. And I get it. It's early. Don't sack him. You've made the decision. I'm hoping that the selectors, the BCCI, whoever it was, I'm hoping they made this decision looking forward and knowing not just for ego, but this is our plan going forward. This is why Kel Raul is our guy in ODI. Maybe it's just a Band-Aid because Rohit's out. I don't know the full situation. But I would have convinced Kohli, we know what's going on, but can you just be our temporary captain? Maybe that was asking too much. He said, we loved being here in South. What'd you love about it? What, you loved being whitewashed? You loved being favorites and then not being able to beat a team that was not favored to beat you, a team that fought tooth and nail. But is that what you love? It's not time to be nice. It's not time to this or that. And it makes me think of this. And I'm going to say it because I don't care, but a lot of people aren't going to like it. They're going to get in the comment section. Go ahead and do that. Throw me the hate you want to throw. It's okay. I've seen him captain only an IPL squad for 2 years. I've only seen the last 2 years of the IPL. I'm not sure how long he was a captain before that. And I saw a guy with loads of talent on a team that everyone blamed the management that was not able to make the right decisions, that was losing the matches they should have won, that did not make the playoffs when they should have. That 1 year they lost a whole bunch, and then they come running in, put Chris Gale in there, and they lose they win 5 or 6 matches in a row, and they just missed it by a match. I saw that KRL, and I get it. Apples and oranges. I don't think it's as much apples and oranges as you guys think. Okay? But I've seen that captain. I've seen what he's done. And I'm not sure why he's a choice. If you're just telling me he's a temporary choice until Rohit's good and he's definitely the ODI captain, then fine. They definitely missed you, Rohit. Absolutely in this series. But I'm flabbergasted by that. He was not up to the challenge, and it showed, and that was frustrating. Rishabh Pant, that third match, unexcusable. Inexcusable. Probably the worst dismissal of his life, right? Of his career, internationally at least. In a match where you're desperately asking Prasid and Shahal to win you this match, to get us 5 or 6 or 8 more runs. That golden duck does not look good. A single boundary, right? A single boundary. And it's at least going to a tie or a super over or whatever they do in ODI to break up that tie. I'm not sure. But at least it's going there. It wasn't going there. He wasn't able to do that. KRL, you've got to lead with your bat. I was saying this so much with Kohli. Doesn't it seem like Kohli, I didn't see his dismissals, I'm not going to lie, but didn't it seem like Kohli played with a little more relaxation after not having that pressure and that daunting of being the captain? He put in 2 half centuries. He had a 79 for crying out loud. Him and Dewan both had half centuries. You had a match where you had one of your openers go well. You had Kohli bat well. You had your middle order do decently, and you had a tail ender get you 54, and you still lost by 4 runs. That's South Africa's credit, but that's also India just not meeting the mark, not able to get enough done. And it's super frustrating. Am I calling for the end of Indian cricket like I joked around with the end of England cricket? No, and England won a match the next day anyways, which, that's what happens. But I'm not calling for that. And it's frustrating, though. It's extremely frustrating what's going on. There's really not too many positives you can take from this series. India got their butts kicked. It's as simple as that. In football, you say you want to punch them in the mouth because you're doing a lot of blocking, you're doing running. You want to knock those guys on their butts. And India got punched in the mouth time after time after time. South Africa did not let him get back up, and that's why they were the difference. India was not able to get knocked down and get back up and respond in kind. Not enough, at least. Not enough. And at the end of the day, they were not able to do enough to beat a South Africa team that a lot of experts said that they should have won. And by my count, they should have won 4 of the 6 matches. if they played the way they should play. And I hate doing that. It's taking nothing against South Africa. Please understand that. I'm not taking I hate when people make those excuses. I'm not saying they would have. I'm not saying they lost those matches. And no, South Africa won those matches with their resilience and with playing better. Straight up just playing better. Bowling better, batting better, shot selection, fielding better, everything better. But it didn't have to be these results. Now, I'm excited for South Africa, even though they're, again, more turmoil with the coach and all that kind of stuff. I love Bavuma as a captain. I love Elgar as a captain. If I'm a South African fan, I love that these guys are the captains of my squads, and I love the kind of presence they're setting, the examples they're setting, and I'm looking forward to the future, and I can't wait. Bring on the next guy. I think it's New Zealand. I can't wait to play the next guys, and let's see. I don't care if we got to go there. Let's show them what we got right now, because India, they just dismantled them absolutely, and now they're going to whoever their next opponent is. I think it's New Zealand. I don't know that for sure. But those are some of my thoughts about this tour. It was extremely frustrating as someone who roots for India, but it was extremely satisfying as a fan of cricket to see someone else be able to step up. And I said it time and time again. Very, very impressed with South Africa. Let me know what your thoughts are. Those are just a few of my thoughts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, adios.